Hey guys, first of all, my prayers and condolences go out to the family and the family and friends of those that were lost last night in that tragedy in D.C. Hopefully, we'll get a better idea, an answer as quickly as possible as to what went wrong and everything. So again, my prayers and condolences go out to the families there. Um, but I wanted to come on here and I do apologize first of all if you do hear any vroom vroom sounds. Those are going to be like notifications coming through because I am recording this on my phone. But I want to come on here and talk about something, as far as AEW is concerned. Now, what you guys may not know is I've recently got back to watching Monday Night Raw live. And for a while I haven't been watching it even though the product has been very good. And it's not just because, it was at 3 hours earlier, throughout most of last year on USA, or the fact that it was back to 2 hours in the final extension months that they had on USA. But basically, mainly because of the fact that I had a lot of stuff going on personally, like I was helping out family and things, looking for work, working, if you will, as well, and, in warehouses, seasonal or whatever. And basically getting up early in the morning to get myself ready for work, along with my ride, and then leaving, around 5:30, 5:25 in the morning, and then getting off and then going to work, working for up to about from 6 to 2:30, and then taking the bus, after that back home because sometimes I would walk to the bus stop if my other rides weren't available and everything. And then when I get home, I just want to drink my coffee, try to stay awake. And if after I get myself comfortable, I just want to rest and everything. So I was never really in the mood to watch Raw because as you got later on in the day and the fact it was on tape delay here on the West Coast, or as you head west out of the East and Central time zones, and you go into more mountain, Pacific, Hawaiian, and Alaskan time zones, you know, basically the show would always be on tape delay, and I would be more along the lines of I just want to rest. I don't want to watch really much going on television when it comes to like WWE or AEW or whatever. But lately, I have been watching Raw again because it's been coming on live coast to coast, so we can't really miss a show whatsoever. But now I'm kind of in that same camp I was last year with Raw when it comes to SmackDown. And with SmackDown, the same thing. I was tired. I didn't really want to watch anything. I just wanted to rest, if you will. But if something did catch my eye, I would watch. I would watch what was going on. I would pay attention to it. And I will try to get back into SmackDown as much as I can, even though it's on tape delay right now because it's on USA and not on Netflix. It's on Netflix internationally, but not but not on here domestically unless you watch it through a VPN and everything, which a lot of people apparently do if they don't want to miss out on any like interviews and stuff that happens in between the commercials that happen here in the U.S. The other thing I am appreciative of as well is when they do go to a commercial here in the U.S. for Raw, if you will, for Raw and everything, they do give you a little counter telling you how many minutes you got for commercials, and usually it's about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, or 3 minutes, period, and then that's about it. And I like that they put that little counter there, so it's basically them telling you, hey, you have some time to go and get some popcorn, get a beer, whatever, do what you got to do, go to the bathroom, what have you. So I do appreciate that. But the reason I bring this up in correlation with AEW is because AEW has this deal with Max, right? And with the exception of here on the West Coast, they're supposed to be simulcasting, with the exception of when you go out west, Mountain Time, Western, Mountain Time, I should say, Pacific Time, Hawaiian, Alaskan, and all that. With, the time zones and, the time zone differences being, what they are as you head, westward and everything, it's supposed to be simulcast, right? Or even if you live on the West Coast and you want to watch it, at the same time as everybody else does, you have Max to watch it on. So here's my question. Why aren't people more like me willing to do what we do on Mondays for Raw? Why aren't we willing to do that for Dynamite and Collision on Wednesdays and Saturdays? Why? Well, I think last night's Dynamite, in the eyes of a lot of folks on social media, including those that are diehard defenders of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan, I think pretty much said it themselves. It's because the programming is, it's sucking. The programming is not what it should be. It's like you have all these diamonds in the rough, if you will, when it comes to AEW, yet Tony Khan is not picking those diamonds out, cleaning them up, and showcasing them like he should. Instead, as some people have been saying, like JD and Alex and others, he's just grabbing, he's grabbing like whatever. Let me see if I can use an example here. If I have one with me, here we go. If I can get it out. He's using like whatever dart he has, looking at whatever picture of a roster member he has, and he's just going. He's just tossing the dot at whatever, at the pictures on the wall of whatever of the talents he has, seeing, okay, what talent can I push today, or what talent can I push this month or this season and everything, and go from there. Or like JD from Off the Script says, he's reaching into his toy chest or his ottoman, like what I have here in the background, and picking out whoever he wants to play with or push for that time period, going forward. And look, if that's how he wants to try to restore the feeling and everything, or try to make the programming better, as crazy as it sounds, all power to him, but it's not helping him in the long run. It's not helping AEW in the long run. What he needs is a strategy. What he needs is a long-term plan as to who's going to be his focal point, from the main event scene for both men and women, who's going to be his focal point in the upper mid-card scene, who's going to be his focal point in the mid-card scene, and who's going to be his focal point in the lower card scene. That's what he needs to do. He needs to look at it from that perspective. He needs to have that long-term plan and strategy to focus on those different sections of both AEW and Ring of Honor to an extension, to have, some kind of, I guess you could say, momentum, to make AEW restore that feeling as, he's trying to get people on that roster to promote. I mean, he's got Daniel Garcia, his TNT champion, wearing a Restore the Feeling t-shirt. You have Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley coming out and basically saying, hey, look, we're trying to restore the feeling by bringing the best out of AEW. And Moxley saying, yeah, and if you don't like, and hey, if you stop asking questions and just enjoy the ride we're putting you on, then you'll see that for a fact. And when you have someone like Moxley, which a lot of people would interpret as Tony Khan speaking through Moxley, stealing or paraphrasing what The Rock said on NXT a couple weeks ago, that has to show you that creatively, Tony Khan doesn't know what he's doing. And I think that's been long pretty much confirmed. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's supposed to have Will Washington, who used to work for WWE creatively to an extent, helping him out as well. And he's got this Peppermint lady helping out Mercedes creatively, but it's like, where's the golden result? Where's that star-making result, that you were hoping for, or that you were saying we were going to get, because of these signings? Where is it? It's nowhere. It's nowhere to be found. And look, when you're doing a storyline to where, and I believe it or not, I respect Jeff Jarrett. I'm one of those rare Jeff Jarrett fans that appreciate what he brings to the table creatively and, booking wise and all that, as well as an in-ring performer. I just think there's a uniqueness to him that not everybody is appreciating. They're not appreciating this uniqueness that he brings to the table. And I know people are going to go off of the fact that he's never been a draw, and maybe that's true. But again, I think he's somebody that's trying to learn from that, from his own creative and booking style, because look at what he did for TNA. Yeah, he booked himself to be the champion multiple times, more times than he should have. But outside of that, he also booked people like, let's say, AJ Styles and so on, to, like AJ Styles and Abyss and all of them to have long run, or to have runs with the championship and all that. He booked people like Christian Cage right out of the gate to be champion. He put Kurt Angle into a high-profile storyline with Samoa Joe, and then book him become champion as well. You got to give the guy credit. He's learned from behind the scenes wise, he's learned from his mistakes. But I do agree that you do not use someone like Jeff Jarrett to piggyback off what WWE's doing with John Cena. Okay? John Cena has pretty much come out and said, this is it. After 2025, he's done. It's over. But Jeff Jarrett, you have him coming out and saying he signed his last active in-ring contract for who knows how long, and his determining goal with that, contract is to become champion. Okay, that's fine, but do you not realize that not a lot of people want to see Jeff Jarrett, whether they're a fan of him or not, be the world champion, either in AEW or Ring of Honor at all? Because to them, if you do that, you're pretty much dooming your company to fail. And it's like, again, you have all this momentum, you have all these diamonds in the rough, all this potential, all the right ingredients, except you're not mixing those ingredients, with the right spices. You're not mixing them. You're mixing them with the wrong spices. You're allowing potentially your Sting, your Crow Sting, if you will, and Darby Allin to take time off to train and go climb an unclimbable feat in Mount Everest just so he could stick a flag that says AEW on the top of it, or at least close to it, and then climb back down, without any indication whether or not he's going to come back alive, period. So it's like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And now, because obviously someone must have gotten to you and said, hey, we don't know whether or not Darby's going to be back at all. Now you have to redirect Hangman Adam Page from being a psychopath to being now, someone that wants to be redeemed. And now you're going to stick him after Moxley. And that's great. You want to put him in there, that's great. But you wouldn't have to do this, you wouldn't have had to do this unless you had things planned out. Unless you had a focal point for who you're going to be focusing on in your main event scene, your upper mid card scene, your mid card scene, and your lower card scene across both AEW and Ring of Honor. You wouldn't have to do that if you would have had some strategy. If you would have had something laid out, but you don't. Because like I said, you have a dart, you're just throwing at the wall, throwing at certain pictures on the wall as to who you want to push and maybe what kind of stories you want to put them in. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have Moxley, and let's look at the Death Riders. The Death Riders are what? You're another attempt at the NWO, if you will? And, okay, fine. You have most of them with championship gold except for one. Why isn't Marina Shafir with championship gold? Is she just going to be I'm going to carry the briefcase with the AEW title in it. That doesn't make sense. If you want to prove the point that the Death Riders are saying, that they're trying to bring the best out of people, maybe put Marina Shafir in the ring with a champion and have her win a belt like that and improve that? It's like, come on. What's going on here? Again, this doesn't make any sense. And this is why people will not take time out of the busy schedule on Wednesdays and Saturdays to do what they do with Raw on Monday nights, and that's tune into Netflix, rewind to the beginning if they've missed it, till we watch the whole thing, and catch up with what everybody else is watching, or watch it as soon as it begins and all that, or watch it on replay if they don't watch it, if they can't watch it when it comes on. This is why people don't do it with Collision. This is why people don't do it with Dynamite, because when you compare the two, and I know some people would say that's unfair to do, but when you compare the two, it's like night and day. It is like night and day. Basically, Raw has a focal point. They have the main event, upper mid, and lower card, all figured out and ready to go as we head towards the Rumble and WrestleMania. AEW does not. And whether you like watching SmackDown in 3 hours on USA or internationally on Netflix, guess what? They too, for SmackDown, have the main event, upper mid, and lower card all figured out. Same with NXT. And people, again, will take time out of their schedule internationally on Netflix with those two shows to watch because of the fact that they're more easier to watch and to understand than what AEW is doing. And if AEW wants that same feeling, to help restore the feeling, as they call it, then maybe they need to focus on basically having, having those selected for the main event, upper mid, and lower card. And Tony Khan, he has to do one thing. That's either crap or get off the pot, or move aside and hand the pen over to somebody that knows what they're doing and understands what I was talking about there when it comes to having a focal point as to who to push in the main event, the upper mid, the mid, and the low. He needs to do either one of those, because if not, AEW is not going to survive after this year. And WBD and David Zaslav and Kathleen Finch could be like, hey, we know we signed this agreement, but we're going to null and void the other years, and you only have 1 year remaining, and which would be this year, and then that's it. We're going to cancel you. We're going to tell other networks and streaming services not to pick you up because you can't draw flies. You can't draw flies to crap with what you're doing. So, if he doesn't want that, he's got to either crap and get off the pot and do the right thing, focus on those who he wants to push in the main event, upper mid, and lower, or basically, just get out of the way and let somebody that knows what they're doing, has experience, when it comes to creative and booking, and just watch from the sidelines on how it's done. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and everything. Ring the bell, like I said, ring the bell for notifications, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and everything. It is early, I do apologize, guys. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere on all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, Audible, Overcast, Radio Public. If it has a podcast or a variety of podcasts on it, you'll probably find me there as well. Also, check me out at VENMO.com at BW Roses, Rumble.com at BW Roses, Odyssey.com at BW Roses, DeviantArt.com at BVW1979, InkBunny.net at BW Roses. Also, check me out at my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Also, check me out at Twitter.com, X if you will, at BW Roses, and Blue Sky. But guys, give me your thoughts on what I've had to say here, and until then, I'm out.